everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Student X, and in today's video we'll be creating a basic arithmetic calculator using Python. Let's get started. And our problem statement says, write a Python program that performs basic arithmetic operations. Your program should perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you must display a menu of options, accept user input for operation choice and numerical values, and then of course display the results clearly. Right? So the first thing we're going to do is, which is always good practice, is to write your name and then write the day's dates, which in this case is February 2026, right? And what I'm going to start with is of course initiate my loop, my continuous loop, right? In this case, I mean, it's up to you if you want to initiate a loop or not, but in this case I'm going to do it, and I'm going to say num1 is going to be equal to floating point of input. In this case, I'm going to prompt the user to enter their first number. So I'm going to say enter the first number, right? With a little bit of space over here. And now notice input enables the user to input whatever they want to input. And then floating is a data type that will convert the string that they input into a floating point, which is just a number that Python will understand, you see. Some may use integer, some may use double, some may use floating point. It's entirely up to you. But it all depends on what you expect from the user. In this case, I don't necessarily expect an integer per se. It can be any number, even in point form. That's why I'm using floating point instead of integer, for an example. And then I'm going to say num2 is also equal to floating point. I'm going to say input. In this case, I'm going to say enter the second number, right? And that is what I have with a little bit of space. And then once I've entered number 1 and number 2, I'm going to say user input or user operation. Yeah, in this case, yeah, let me just say user operation, which is equal to input, right? Which would be a string as the input, because input by default will turn whatever they input into a string. So in this case, I'm going to say choose your operation, you see, and the menu is either a plus, a minus, multiplication, or asterisk for multiplication, and then our slash for division, you see, with a little bit of space, you see. And then after that, we're going to have our tree. I'm going to say if user operation, if our user operation is equal to plus. So when we use equal, it means if our user operation is equal to that, you see. So one equal sign is used for assignment. In this case, whatever the user inputs first will be assigned to number 1. But here we're going to say user operation is equal to plus. This means that we're comparing the two, you see. So one equal sign is used for assignment, but two equal signs is used for comparison. So in this case, we're going to use plus. If user operation is equal to plus, then we are going to print using our f. We have our num1 plus our num2, which is going to be equal to num1 plus num2, you see. And I notice when I say print and I'm using this f, the reason why I'm using this f is because it allows me to format, you know, my response or my printing or my display in a particular way. Notice I use the curly brackets to store, or rather to output, the actual number that the user has input, you see, and everything else outside the curly bracket will be displayed as is, you see. So notice if, for an example, I say print f format and I use my curly braces of num1, it's actually going to display the num1 that the user input. But if I were to say num1 just like this, then the display will literally be num1, num1, you see. So that's just, you know, for you to understand, and the reason why I like using formatting, because it allows me to play around with this thing. So then after that, I'm going to use elif, right? in this case, if the user operation is equal to a minus instead, then what we're going to do is that we're going to say print format. I want to say num1 minus num2 is equal to, right, num1 minus num2, just like that, you see, and then end it there. And then of course all we can do is just simply copy and paste, because everything else follows the same structure, right? Elif, if user operation is equal to the asterisk, then we're going to say print num1 times num2 is equal to num1 times num2, like that, you see. And then of course we're going to copy and paste again, and we're going to say elif user is equal to minus, or in fact equal to divide, then print out num1 divided by num2, which is equal to num1 divided by num2, and that is the code for the basic calculator. So now when we run the code, this is what we have. We're going to test it out, you see. So I'm going to say, okay, fine, let's go easy. When my first number is going to be 2, my second number is also going to be 2, and let me choose plus, and wonderful, I get 4, you see. Okay, now let's pick it up a notch. Let's say 3.14159, right? That's my first number. My second number is going to be 9.980, and I'm going to say minus, and notice how it does my subtraction very nicely, you see. And then next up, I'm going to say, I don't know, just a random number with another random number, and then this time I'm going to say multiplication, and let's see what we get. Wow, it literally balloons, you see. And then let me use a really big number, right, divided by a very small number, or let me use 2, and let's see what we get. Oh yeah, divided using our division symbol. Let's see what we get, and we get this in return. So that's it, you see, our basic arithmetic calculator. Of course, you know, it can be expanded to do much more. We can take the root, we can do exponential, we can do logarithms, you name it, it can be coded. And that's it for today's Python problem. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated, and share this with those hungry for Python challenges. And special shout out to IJ Beats for their special Christian instrumental music background. And of course guys, please remember that some of these codes that I do are particularly inefficient or too long intentionally. It's up to you to help me out and help everybody else out. Please of course feel free to expand, make it more interesting. You see, expand the script and do something much more exciting. Please leave your answers in the comment section or email me at tutornext.success@gmail.com. And I'll see you in the next video with me, TutorNext. Simplifying success, one question at a time.